Welcome back to more ReZero. Now we are still setting everything up for Arc 4. So last time we started off strong with Subaru dying and discovering that the reset point has been moved. So let's jump back into the story. Rem lies asleep in the guest room of Cruchet's mansion, with Subaru in a chair nearby. Rem trying out the coma strats. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for her. A light appears and Puck materializes. To what do I owe this pleasure? I have a connection with this girl too, remember? So what's wrong with me dropping by to check on her? Puck, could you... Sorry, but not even my power can wake her up from the sleep she's in. It might not make up for that, but I could tell you a bit about Gluttony. Gluttony? The one who devoured her name and memories. Put simply, the authority of Gluttony is the power to consume. He can eat someone's name along with everyone's memories of them, or make that person lose their own memories. If both your name and memories are taken, you'll be reduced to an empty shell. That's what's happened to this girl. Subaru. What? I hate to ask this favor of you when you've already got so much on your mind, but I'm counting on you to take care of Leah. With that, Puck disappears. Puck knows a lot about this for some strange reason, and Subaru just doesn't question that at all. Also, this conversation doesn't happen in the light novel. It does happen in the web novel, but it's not here. It's after their meeting that they're about to have. And I don't know why the light novel cut it. It seems like this is something that should have been included. Subaru leaves the room and is greeted by Cruchet. They share a brief exchange that only frustrates Subaru, so he tries to move on as fast as he can. Were you looking for me for some particular reason? Yes, everyone has gathered in the lounge to discuss things. And, it's Subaru Natsuki. Sorry. Of course. I've been told that I owe you a great deal, and yet I've been nothing but rude. Please forgive me. Seriously, don't sweat it. I know you've got a lot to take in right now. This is what happened to Cruchet. Rem had both her name and her memories eaten, so she went into a coma. Cruchet just had her own memories eaten, so everyone remembers her, but she doesn't remember anything. I'll probably cover this more later, but due to her memory loss, her personality is completely different. Before, she was commanding, and now she's pretty meek. To the point that it seems like she's a completely different person. And that is what Subaru is upset about. You'll notice that her arm has been reattached. Now, Felix is a damn good healer, so I really wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't much work at all for him to put the arm back the way it was. This conversation happens the exact same in the novels, but it happens in the room with Rem instead of out in the hall. The slight change, it really doesn't make a difference. When they get back to the lounge, Felix and Cruchet talk for a little bit, and it's pretty obvious that she doesn't remember him. And this is going to be a pretty common occurrence for a little bit. She uses honorifics for him when she used to not, or when she's talking to other people, she'll use a different honorific than she used to. If you know a little bit of Japanese, I think that kind of makes sense. If you don't, then I'll try to explain it. She was being really formal with him when she used to be really casual because they were close friends. It would basically be like trying to talk to your friend as if you were in a business meeting or something. Well, now that Subaru and Crochet have returned, let us talk. In the anime and the light novel, Wilhelm takes charge during this conversation. In the web novel, it's Felix. It's not really a huge change. They both talk about the same amount in each version. Let's start by reviewing where we currently stand. Crochet's memories were eaten, and Rem lost both her name and her memories. The capital has had many cases of memory loss that no healer could fix, and an unexplained malady they've dubbed the Sleeping Beauty disease. Is Sleeping Beauty in this world? Like the story, not the person. Or is this just a coincidence? I mean, it's called Sleeping Princess in the novels, but that's still the same reference, right? I don't know. Wilhelm says that people with this disease don't eat and they don't age. They're stuck in some kind of stasis. And it's a pretty rare condition, at least in Lagunica, so not a whole lot is known. But now, all of that should be considered the work of the witches' cult. Wilhelm looks over at Cruchet, causing her to jump a bit. Oh, I meant nothing against you, Cruchet. I do apologize for frightening you. No, I apologize for being such a hopeless master. I've been trying my hardest to remember you as well, but we finally took care of Sloth, and now there's another Archbishop. This really sucks. This brings up a question that I haven't thought about before. Does this world have the seven deadly sins? Like, besides for the witches. Like, how did the witches get their nicknames? I don't know. It's another thing that doesn't matter. The info is a little weird during this part. In the anime, they really only know about the one archbishop, and they guess that it's gluttony based on the power being similar to the whale. In the light novel, they make the same guess, but they also know about the second archbishop. My guess is that the Iron Fang saw them as they were escaping. In the web novel, they know about both archbishops, and they know that it's gluttony and greed. Nowhere is that explained, they just know it. My guess is that maybe some of the army, a couple of members of the army, weren't fully knocked out whenever the archbishops gave their name. But again, nothing was ever said about that, and it seems to have been taken out in between the web novel and the light novel. So, I don't know. One more thing, real quick. The novels are more clear on this, and I have kind of left out a lot of it, but no one here is doing well. Cruchet doesn't remember who she is. Wilhelm and Felix are struggling to adjust to that change. Subaru is upset about that situation because he doesn't want to see her like that, on top of everything that he's dealing with Rem. Emilia is the only one that is even somewhat okay, but she is still worried about everybody else. So everybody's on edge right now. Of course, the moment Emilia became a candidate in the royal selection, we knew the witches cult would get involved. Maybe it really is my fault. They're fixated on getting rid of Emilia, the half-elf. What's going on now is just a tiny part of... Cut the crap, will you? The only ones to blame here are those scumbags. Stop trying to shift the blame onto the wrong person. Oh? Coming from you, Subaru, that's much more convincing. I guess it's the difference of experience. Felix, I can't ignore that comment you just made. Apologize. Subaru is right. It is crystal clear where the blame should fall. Emilia, I apologize. And to you too, Subaru. Forget it. Let's get back on topic. As we've seen before, this is just Felix's personality. He likes to make extremely sarcastic comments that are just thinly veiled insults. He's an asshole. So he was trying to be a dick here. What's surprising is Cruchet's behavior. Up until this point, she has been acting like a completely different person. And this is the first time that her old commanding presence has actually come through. The web novel goes a slightly different route. Emilia asks a question about the cult, and Felix is a dick about her asking questions. So instead of Felix making a comment about her being a half-elf, he makes a comment on her ignorance, and Cruchet yells at him about that. Both paths are a good reason for Cruchet to reprimand him, but I don't really like the web novel version. It doesn't really make sense to me that Felix would make fun of her for asking questions. Well, he 100% would do that because he's an asshole. But I don't think he would do that given the circumstances. Cruchet doesn't remember anything, so she is having to constantly ask questions. While Felix is a jerk, I don't think he would go about it in this way, especially when he is hyper focused on Cruchet's memory loss. So I think this was a good change for them to make to move away from that. Since Emilia brings up the witch cult, the web novel goes over info about them. And it's a lot of the same stuff that I talked about in the last arc, so I'm not going to repeat all of it. But there are a few things that I think are important, so I'll repeat that stuff. No one really knows what the cult is after. They're likely trying to bring back the Witch of Envy. At least that seemed to be what Sloth was trying to do. This is important to repeat. The Witch of Envy is still alive. She is sealed within a shrine by the edge of the world next to a tower called Pleiades Watchtower. That will be important for later. The story is that three heroes work together to seal her. Sage Shaura, who is supposedly still alive at the Watchtower keeping guard. The first Sword Saint, Reed Ostrea, who is regarded as the greatest swordsman to have ever lived, and the holy dragon Volcanica, who is the one who helped form the kingdom of Lagunica. That is the history of what happened. And there is a lot that contradicts that side of the story, but we'll learn more about that much, much later. Amelia is hearing all of this for the first time. She says, "So that's what it is. That's why I." But Puck never said anything about that. I'm going to be completely honest here. I'm not sure exactly what she means. I think she is just now realizing why Puck is so protective of her. He wanted to keep them in the forest where they were before they went to Roswell's mansion. He knew about the witch cult, but never mentioned them to Amelia. And it seems like she is starting to connect some dots here. Again, I don't know for sure, it's just my guess. In the web novel, Subaru talks to Puck after this meeting, so he brings that up. Subaru wonders why Puck hasn't mentioned anything about the witch cult to Amelia, and Puck tries his normal plea of ignorance, saying that he didn't think it was important to mention that, and there was no reason to bring it up if it wasn't important, and all of that jazz. I personally don't believe him. Like, he knew that she was about to be made public, and he knew the consequences of that. So him not saying anything seems planned to me. Like, he wanted to keep her ignorant. And maybe we'll learn the reason why later. That alliance we have, can we just scrap that idea? An alliance is formed when it benefits all parties involved. You expect us to ally ourselves with Amelia, the witch cult's target. Could you promise that Cruchet won't be hurt again if we did that? Well, I am opposed to that opinion. With regard to this gluttony, the one who attacked Cruchet, we may be given an opportunity for revenge. Is that more important than Cruchet's life? I know this is hard on her too. She has no idea what's going on. She can't remember anything. So how can you expect her to fight? Isn't that right? I'm sure I can do something about your memory. Even if I can't do it right now, I'll fix this with my magic. So please don't put yourself in any more danger. Felix, thank you for worrying about me. Right now, there is simply too much I don't understand. I'm sure all of you are perplexed as to how to interact with me too. But to everyone who still retains their respect for me despite all of this, I must express my thanks. Felix, I know that your concern for me is genuine, and that you are just trying to guide me. I could do as you say and walk the path that is safest. But I loathe the thought of going on with my life, knowing nothing. If I have a choice, I would rather choose for myself than simply do as someone else says. They had to nerf her so that this would be a fair fight for the crown, and she is still out here ready to go. This entire beginning of the arc is basically just them nerfing some of the girls so that Amelia can have a chance to start to shine. Felix then breaks down and starts to cry. If this is Cruchet's will, surely no one would be in favor of dissolving the alliance. Right. I know I will be a great deal of trouble to you, Amelia and Subaru. No, it's alright. We can't exactly say that we're all on the same page either. We need to rejoin Ram and everyone who's at the sanctuary, and we need to talk it over with Roswell too. Felix crying isn't in the web novel. I mean, besides for the little jabs and Wilhelm yelling at Felix for another comment that he made, this whole exchange is pretty unemotional and straightforward. It's pretty boring, actually. This whole arc is very emotional, and I'm kind of glad that they added in him crying. I mean, he's been holding it in this entire time, and having it spill out kind of seems like the natural response. Anastasia also comes up in the novels. Basically, they didn't invite her because they didn't want what happened to Crochet getting out. Anastasia also comes up during this conversation. Basically, they didn't invite her because they don't want what happened to Crochet getting out. And Felix makes Amelia and Subaru promise not to tell anyone as a condition for them to continue their alliance, which makes sense. There is a scene in the novels that is left out of the anime, and it gives some surprising information. Subaru goes and talks with Wilhelm after the meeting. And I do want to quote one thing from the light novel because I think it adds to their relationship. The situation hasn't calmed down that much, but you're going to visit your wife's grave or something, right? It's too early to relax, but you did avenge her, and that's important, right? Wilhelm has respect for Subaru because of the things that he's done, but it's moments like this that touch on a deeper friendship. Subaru doesn't fully understand the way that Wilhelm feels, but he understands enough. Subaru knows what's important to Wilhelm, so he tries to be supportive and point out the good things. And it shows consideration towards Wilhelm that he says he wasn't giving to Subaru during the meeting. Wilhelm was being honest when he said he wanted to keep the alliance for the sake of getting revenge on the witch cult. He was just leaving out a little bit of his reasoning. Wilhelm has a cut on his left shoulder that he got from someone who has the divine protection of the Reaper, or the divine protection of the Death God. With this blessing, anything the user cuts cannot heal through any means, even magic. So they will continue to bleed until they die. The cut that Wilhelm has is shallow enough that he's not going to die from it. This blessing does work in a radius around the user, so if you get far enough away from them, then technically it will heal. It'll leave a scar, and as soon as that user gets close again, that scar will just reopen. The wound that Wilhelm has recently started bleeding again, which means that the user is now close enough that the blessing has reactivated. The one who gave him that scar is the previous sword saint, his dead wife, Thracia von Astrea. Given everything that has happened, Wilhelm comes to the conclusion that the witch cult is up to something, and he's about to get to the bottom of it. That is the real reason that he wants to keep the alliance. And all of this will 100% come back up later. After the meeting, Subaru ends up back in Rem's room. You said I was strong, but without you, I can't even find the Subaru who could put on a tough guy act. I knew I'd find you here. Oh, Amelia, did you need something? Am I not allowed to be in here if I didn't? I know this girl, Rem, too, don't I? Something that hasn't come up yet. No one is questioning why Subaru is the only one that remembers her. I mean, it's very obvious that she is Ram's sister, but he is the only one that actually remembers her. In fact, I think he is the only person to ever remember the person who's in this condition. Normally, what happens is they're just an unclaimed body in a coma that no one knows. There is a reason that Subaru remembers, but no one in the story knows why, not even Subaru. I mean, it's not even explained to us until later on. I don't know, it seems weird to me that no one is even bringing it up. Well, you're basically Roswell's guest. I don't need to explain to you that she's Ram's sister, right? Yes, I can tell. She looks just like her. Subaru, you haven't slept at all, have you? You should rest for a while. It's not like I'm doing anything that'll make me tired. It's not like I can do anything. But it's true that you want to do something, right? If your spirit keeps trying too hard for so long, your body will wear out first. I'm so pathetic. No, you're not. You always do so much for me. I really mean it. It'll be fine. Not that I have any right to talk, as if I know that. I want to understand how you feel, but since I don't remember anything about this girl, I know anything I say will just hurt you. But just know this. Don't burden yourself with carrying the weight of Rem alone. Let me carry your burdens with you. Amelia, but you don't even remember anything about Rem. Is it wrong to want to do something if I don't remember her? She's important enough to you that it makes you this sad, right? Is it so strange that it makes me want to help her too? Just like you saved me, I want to save you this time. If you're in pain, I want to do something for you. You're amazing, Amelia. Really? I think you're much more amazing than me. No, I'm really not. I'm really glad you were here. I need a favor to ask. Could you turn around? I'm gonna cry. All right. The emotions he had been holding back start to well up, and tears begin to fall. Amelia hugs him and pats his head. I swear, I will get you back. Your hero is going to come for you. I swear it. Amelia doesn't show up here in the web novel. Instead, this is where he talks to Puck. And after learning about gluttony, he then makes the same statements that he is going to save Rem. Honestly, it's not as good as having Amelia here. Having her try her hardest to be there for him is just a great move. This is technically where the third arc ends for the novels. It ends here, and then you got to go get the next chapter if you want to know what happens. And it's great marketing. I prefer the anime ending for 3 and having all of this be the beginning of 4. It just feels like a better transition to me. But I completely understand why they would want to put this at the end of the third arc. Again, it probably helps to sell more books. Great marketing. And we're at a great stopping point. So next time, we will actually get into this arc. See ya.